Hi everyone, I'm Sandy. Welcome back to my channel. Today I have something definitely outside of my normal. I read a genre I don't read a lot of, and I thought I would come out here and share it with you, share my thoughts about the books. One is an advanced reader copy that I got that comes out mid-March, so I really wanted to get that part done. And one is a new release by an author I have never read, but was on my most anticipated book list so for this year. So yeah, I'm really excited to share both of these books with you. You can let me know in the comments what you think of me reading horror, because like I said, I don't read horror a lot, and so yeah, it's different, very different. Definitely not lighthearted reading for sure. But hopefully you consider giving me a subscribe and sticking around and just, see my very eclectic reading journey that I'm on. All right, so the first book I'm going to talk about is The Serial Killer Support Group by Saratoga Schaefer. I don't have a physical copy of this because I was lucky enough to get an advanced reader copy through NetGalley. I got it as an ebook. This is Saratoga Schaefer's first book, debut novel, and I would say it's a solid debut novel. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't bad. It just didn't quite go in the direction I necessarily thought it would go in, which isn't a bad thing. It just was different. So also I have to say that the cover, hopefully I have a cover of the book up here for you. The cover for some reason gave me humor vibes. When I saw it on NetGalley, I'd never heard of it, never heard of the author, and decided to pick it up as just kind of intrigued by the cover and the title. And for some reason, I thought it was supposed to be more humorous than it actually ended up being. If you read the summary of it, it does say that it's a mix of humor and horror, but I got way more horror than I got humor in it. And so the main character's name is Syra in this book, and Syra has a sister who was murdered, and she becomes obsessed with trying to find out who killed her sister, and that's all she can think about. She's at the police office, she's badgering her friend who works there, she's trying to find out everything she possibly can about what happened to her sister. And her friend who works there gives her some information about, they think maybe it was potentially a serial killer who did it, and that they've heard rumor of this support group in the area, and she decides she wants to infiltrate this group, and goes on a journey to do that. And there's of course entrance criteria to that support group, which is horrific and graphic. She does slowly kind of let on a little bit of her personality as she's going through that journey of maybe some things she wasn't always on the up and up with the people in her past, and she was no spoiler, hopefully, that she ends up getting into this support group. Now the support group is filled with a wide variety of different characters in it that all have kind of code names, and you get snippets of them throughout the book. So it will go a chapter of a character and a chapter of the current timeline and a chapter of a character, and back and forth and back and forth. And those snippets into the background of these other people in the group are really, I think, some of the best parts of the story, because they are horrific and awful and well done. And I wanted to learn some more about some of those characters. There's one in particular that I really just thought was super creepy. Like this combination of needing to be the best at everything, but not being necessarily the best, and acting in a way to try and prove he was. That was just kind of like, oh, okay, he's very, very strange, this character. But I think overall, her story and her timeline, it does resolve everything in the end. We do find out what happens to her sister, and it is a rough go though, and there is a fair amount of blood and guts and gore and trauma in this book. I would love to have someone who reads a lot of horror read this and tell me what they thought. I could have used another 100 pages of the book. It was only a couple hundred pages long, so I would have loved to have a bit more kind of in there. Like I said, it did get all resolved at the end. There's a couple of characters that I struggled with, just them, and her in particular. I thought there was a really interesting twist at the end, which I'm not going to spoil, as far as her character goes. But yeah, very creepy book. I kind of put it right in the solid middle of the road kind of rating for me. It wasn't a bad book. It was interesting. I thought it was going to be super funny. It wasn't super funny. So go into it reading knowing there's a lot going on. There's a lot of murder and a lot of bad stuff that happens in that. And there's not necessarily a character in it that you go, oh, I really like that character. Nah, it doesn't really happen. But definitely check it out. Like I said, it comes out, I believe, on March 18th, and it's a Serial Killer Support Group by Saratoga Schaefer. So well done on the debut novel. And thank you again to NetGalley for giving me an advanced reader copy. Really appreciate it. All right, but the second book that I have is the one that was on my most anticipated reads. It is an author I have never read before, though I've seen their books and been curious. And the book that I picked up was this one, Witchcraft for Wayward Girls by Grady Hendrix. This book just came out in the last month. I got this obviously as a library book, and it is currently past due, which is why I'm having to film this today really quickly, and then I can take it back to the library. But this book, this book is, the characters in this book are all young girls between the ages of, I believe, 14 and 18 who are pregnant. It's set in the 70s, and they are sent to this home to have their babies and have their babies given away for adoption. And then they, get to go back home. And it is not a fun place for them to be. Most of them don't want to be there. It's just a horrible kind of environment. The doctor there is restricting all their calories or restricting their salt or doing all these things that are telling them, to try and make them healthier. But like one of the things is making her drink this really awful concoction of like liver blended up in order to get her iron up. And the scene was so well done. I was like, oh. It was so gross. And then the idea of her the longer she sat there, the warmer it got. It was like, oh. There's a core group of girls that are featured in this. There's really 4 kind of to start. And not to start, but there's 4 primary girls in this. And they meet someone who gives them a book that has some witchcraft in it, and they kind of start to dabble in that and get a little deeper, and they're able to do some stuff. They get a little deeper and they're able to do a little bit more, and then things go haywire and they're like, whoa, I don't know that I want to be in this. And at that point it was really, really chaotic, but I loved one of the main characters and her voice. It is really told from one character's perspective, but there's her friends that are there, that one character and all she's going through. And I thought she was very well done. Teenage girl in the 70s who doesn't want to be there. Her parents drop her off and abandon her there, basically. It's just awful, the idea that happened. And and they're kind of a nefarious character in this who's trying to get the girls to do more witchcraft, trying to kind of get them to be part of her coven, I think it's coven. And it just kind of all escalates and escalates and escalates, and then comes to a head in a way I wasn't quite expecting. So I did like that. I also really, really loved the very end of this when there's a section in this that says 2,817 weeks. Everything is broken up into kind of developmental sections of a baby. And so this one is just a play on that same words, but it is from the character's perspective much farther in the future. And I thought that was really well done. I especially like the character Holly in that and kind of what she did. There is some difficult content in this. Absolutely. There's some, just how the girls ended up there in the first place. It isn't particularly, it is gory in kind of a couple places. They make some characters sick. There's some childbirth. There's some blood and guts related, obviously, to that. It was it was I think a good entrance to Grady Hendrix. I really want to read How to Sell a Haunted House now and see what I think of that. I gave this kind of, again, 3.5 stars-ish. It wasn't my favorite, but I didn't hate it. It did make me go, okay, maybe I could read some more Grady Hendrix. As far as one of my most anticipated reads for this year, it was a good choice. I'm happy that I read it, but I don't know yet if horror is really the genre for me. Have you read this book? I'd love to hear, I would love to hear in the comments what you thought of this one. Would love to hear if you're going to read the serial killer support group as well. Do you like me reading kind of this other genre? And are there other genres you think I should try and read? I'd love to hear all of that in the comments. Other than that, I hope everyone is well. And as always, like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, everyone, thanks. Bye.